Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and good evening, and thank you so much for joining me this evening on the late one in review, where we look at some of the news which making the day, and the news from my perspective, from your perspective, and everyone perspective, if I could say. You know, today is the 16th of February, 2022, and as my walk this morning in the park, what I was saying is that it was December, and everybody was saying, "Damn, it's getting there to be 2023," and then it was January, and now it is February, and then it's going to be March, and then it's going to be the end of the year, believe it or not, for the 2023. The big question is, have you achieved what you said you're going to achieve for the first period of 2023? Have you achieved some of those key things that you said you're going to achieve on? Are you going to work on the gym and everything? Is it? You know? But I want to tell you this, though, that there's so many things in the news, so many different voices, ladies and gentlemen. For those on Instagram, join me on the Facebook, YouTube, Light Speaker, Stacey and Willis. Good afternoon, good afternoon. For those on YouTube, share it. And for those on Facebook, share it as well. There's so many different voices. So many different things are happening. And one of the things I keep talking about is the various voices which we are hearing. So many distractions, so many things are happening out there. And one is trying to figure and trying to find out what are some of the key top news. My topic, as you can see, it talks about who are the real scammers, the energy companies. Who are the real scammers? Somebody may think that I'm talking about Jamaica. No, I'm not talking about Jamaica. I'm talking about right here in the UK. Who are the real scammers? You know? Who are the ones which are chopping the people left, right, and center? Because many will say the Jamaicans are at it in Montego Bay. But when you check it out, what you're seeing, and even with the Usain Bolt saga, I would say, the big guys are the ones that is deemed or alleged to be chopping or to be majoring in scamming. In the UK as well, one may allege or one may assume or one may presume that some of the top persons who are scamming, they're also the big guys. What do we call scamming? What do we call, and when I look at the energy companies, which is something we're going to look at, talking about things like British Gas profit 3 billion, Shell and BP 28 to 38 billions, taxes, LTN, ULEZ, counter tax increase. Everybody's just taking it. Everybody just absorbing it. Everybody just actually saying, is it just normal course of business? They said it was Putin. Putin was the man, and COVID was the factor that made everything goes up. But when you look at British Gas, 949 million 1 year, and then triple to 3 billion, while many people are struggling to put money in their meters, where British Gas even actually breaking into people's homes. Why? Council tax going up as well. Cost of living is raft. And also to look at is Nicola Bolle, the family wants an end to public speculation. The whole concern about this lady which is missing. And the fact that the police have the indecent way, that I would say, the indecent way of actually disclosing the woman's personal business to the whole world. Is she dead? Nurses to stage 48-hour strike. Can you blame the nurses for striking? Can you blame the doctors for striking? Can you blame the transport people who are going to wrap it up as well to strike? Because at one point, Zelensky came here and said, hey, I need some money. And they said, yes, let's get him all of these sort of support, flight simulation, 20,000 or so. You know, big companies making so much money. And actually, you're trying to say, or we are trying to say, that we can't afford to pay the nurses, to pay the teachers, to pay the transport persons. We're not making a good case, are we? Definitely not making a good case. Yeah. Nicola Sturgeon resigned. Why did she resign? The former Prime Minister, the New Zealand Prime Minister, she's also stepping down as well. Will Andrew Holness resign? Will he resign or will he step aside? In Jamaica over there, they said the Integrity Commission has referred a report implicating the Prime Minister Andrew Holness in a conflict of interest to the Director of Corruption Prosecution after it concluded that he may have influenced the awarding of millions of dollars in government contracts to the company of a business associate. What's going on there? I keep saying, as I said to you before, they that are in power, they that are in politics, they that are in somewhat control of the head are seeking as much as how much they can chop, are seeking how much they can scam. That's my perspective. Maybe Gary might have something else to say. Good evening, Gary. How are you?
Not bad, my friend. No. Not bad at all.
I'm cool in the Malibu, you know. I'm trying to say I'm really excited and just really want to just, you know, enjoy the platform that we have, because we realize that all others are failing us. All other platforms are failing us, Gary. You know?
What's going on? What's going on?
Well, how are you? How are you anyhow? How are you anyhow? How's your week so far? Huh?
It's been good.
You can hear me, Gary?
Sorry, I'm a bit late.
That's all right. That's all right. I like to. There's a slight little sort of delay or something like that, if anything.
Do you want me to
Maybe you want to, as is. Yeah, that's what I said. We say in Jamaica, wheel and come again, my selector. You know them thing there? You're not Jamaican, do you? Wheel and come again. Okay. Try wheel and come again. All right. Yeah, that's my guess, Gary. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to also come on the show and to share your thoughts, feel free as well. The link is always there, and I'll just put up the link again for persons to be a part of it. Let me see if I can get back Gary in. Yes, 1 second. Yes, that's much better.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Good, man. How are you doing? How are you? Fantastic. UK? Great things?
Yeah, well, I'm doing okay, you know. I'm doing all right. I've been a busy week. Today, I'm busy. I wasn't able to do a session the usual time this morning, so I had to squeeze in a 30-minute session. That's why I'm a bit late with you tonight,
Yes.
because I did my 30-minute session. And then I'm getting ready I'm doing a funeral tomorrow here at the local church. So
yeah.
yeah,
I was just I was just at a church brother eat up at a African restaurant, and
okay.
I had some African food. It's wicked.
You should have
Burn up the
invited
mouth.
me, man.
Eh?
You should have invited me, man. I would have come down for that.
You don't come down for that. I'm trying to remember the food. It was spicy grilled goat meat with jollof rice and plantain. Yeah.
That sounds delicious, man. That sounds
Yeah,
delicious.
the goat meat was wicked, and I mean, but Gary, listen, as I opened a while ago, and I was just saying that I mean, there's so many different topics. Listen, there's so many things out there, in the world today as to what is really happening. You got Nicola Buller, the lady they're trying to find. You're seeing the companies, which is the top oil companies, British Gas, making so much money, while they are saying that things are going bad. You're talking about UFOs. Are there UFOs? Do 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 do. You know what I mean? You talk about Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness is set to resign. Nicholas Sturgeon has resigned. You know, it all depends on where do you want to focus in? Who is actually conning who is scamming who? you know, and what the first thing I want, because I want to zero in on to the scamming bit with the different things which are gonna be which we are looking at. But have you think about this Nicola Buller case, the family, the lady who they're trying to find?
It is very strange.
Mm,
Something that it's I wouldn't say it's the first time something like that has happened, is it?
mm,
Um,
mm,
People have gone missing before, and then they do something's happened, and it's revealed that they've been murdered. I don't know. I can't say much about this one, but it is strange that
yeah,
he was on a walk, and they can't find her body now. She just seems to have damaged into thin air. You
yeah.
know.
I mean, the interesting thing, because I walk in the park a lot, and I know we have been touching on this bit here, and I can sense that female ladies they're walking in the park. They know me as well because I always have my camera there. I'm sure that they're all sort of conscious until they find out what is happening to Nicola. Was it that somebody who snatched her? Did she fall into the water? What's happening? So people are walkers are very conscious about this world this thing, and the fact that the police even came out. The police came out. What did they? They came out today and yesterday, and they start to share some very intimate details about the lady that they are now being criticized for.
I mean, what? Well, I've been out of the loop on that. But what
Yeah.
is it? What
Well,
did
well,
he say?
well, well what they're actually saying, Gary, is that Nicola Buller has alcohol and going through menopause, you know, and they start to say that we need to watch her and all those sort of things. So people are now asking the question, why are you saying these things? Why are you exposing the lady? They say she has been ongoing struggle with alcohol and menopause, and the Lancashire police has faced a backlash. And I think they're also defensive because a lot of people are now trying to solve the case. TikTok followers, social media followers, everybody giving their own bits and pieces. And the family is, in a statement, the family said, we're aware beforehand that the police last night released a statement with some personal details about her Nikki. We know that Nikki would not have wanted this. There are people out there speculating and threatening to sell stories about her. Okay, so what they're trying to say is that people out there might know a bit about Nikki and wanting to spread some stuff about her, but I don't know because the police is under so much scrutiny now with how they have been going on with women and
Well,
exposing. Mm,
you see, when you look at it, Sil,
mm,
the police really don't know what to do with themselves because um, over a period of time, they've made so much blunders on other cases that each case that they do, they try to cover what they didn't do in the previous case. They try to do it now, but the moment that they do things, they try to be a little bit more open and they try to be a little bit more, um, you know, um,
should we say sophisticated?
yes.
Mm,
Then the public is not free is not happy with what they do. So what can the
mm,
police do? If they don't give information, they're criticized, and if they give too much information, they're criticized.
mm.
So what then can they do? What can What can they do? I mean, yes, which woman, I've repeated that 3 times, I think,
Yes.
will want to know that they're blaming menopause,
Mm.
uh, and very intimate details like that, because everybody knows each woman goes through those things, but women, some women go through it very smoothly.
Mm.
Some, some don't have a problem. Some, it doesn't affect them at all, even
Mm.
though they know that they're going through it, but it doesn't affect them. Whereas
Yes.
on the extreme, you've got those who really battle with it. They really struggle with that.
Yes. Yes.
So it's really not for a man, or let us say for an organization such as the agency of the police, to mention that. I don't think that it's for an organization to then come out and say what they've said. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sit right.
Yes.
It
Yes.
doesn't sit right. I think they ought to leave those things alone. There are certain personal things about women, and there are certain things about men
Yes.
that organizations or agencies, when it comes to situations like these, you don't need to go there, because it's
Yes.
as if you're trying to justify either what they've done, why, or what you are doing as an organization, why you have to be doing it because of the un the unfortunate circumstance that the individual is having to face. It's not right.
Yeah.
It's proper.
No, no, you're right about that. And Gary, this is a case whereby I guess we may not know exactly what has happened to the lady, and many people are talking about even. I know it sounds a bit far fetched, but UFOs and all those sort of things, capturing the lady because UFOs is so much in the news now. No,
I
I'm
was going
serious.
No, I was
Huh?
going to mention that, I was going to mention that, but I didn't.
Yeah, it's there's so much things going on there, but we hope that they can find the lady, and they can be something very amicable that comes out of it, because I know a young lady that I used to work with some years ago, and she was lost, and they couldn't find her. And when they finally found her, um, I think she had some mental health issues, really, but they looked for her and they couldn't find her. And we all created a WhatsApp group because she was in the legal field as well. So many lawyers and friends that we knew of from the different places were looking for her. And even though we're all over the country and work with her, but we finally found her. I think about maybe a week or two or so. So we can still hope for Nicola, if anything. But some people are saying, why all this excitement over one lady? What about all the others? And Gary, there's nothing I can say about that. you know, what about the others? Anyway, the other thing I wanted to bring about, remember that little girl we're talking about last? That girl who was beaten up by the travelers, the young black girl there. And I think a petition has been going around.
Yes,
You know
yes.
that you know that there's nothing more. It's gone dead. It's cold, Gary.
But why?
I don't know. This is the thing. These things blow up and then it just goes dead. It's not on the
I,
forefront.
you see, again, well,
Say it, man.
still,
Say it.
we,
Yeah.
we we don't want to make this a race issue. We don't want to
Yeah.
make it a race issue. Um, but sometimes, by the fact of responses and the lack of response, question marks has to be raised.
Mm.
Question
Mm.
mark question marks has to be and is raised,
Yes.
because why is if I mean Okay, look at the both issues that you've just raised now. One is about that young lady that has gone missing walking along the pathway.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And then you've got this young girl who was then beaten up for so long. On about a week ago. Was it a week ago or two
Yeah,
weeks
yeah,
ago?
yeah. Over a week ago, yeah.
Okay. Now, now I'm not saying that both issues are the same because they're not the same.
Yes.
But one has received more airtime than the other. One
Indeed.
has received more airtime than the other. I dare say that if it was, or if it, well, let me ask the question. If it was a white girl, would beaten up by a
By black
black,
children. Mm.
yes, would they receive more play? You see, these
Yes.
questions will always come up. And that is why, again, I feel sorry for the police agency and the other agencies because they just don't know where to put themselves.
Mm.
They just don't know how to play the game. They're lost. And even though they may come out with some excuse to say, oh well, the circumstances are not the same, so we have to treat the circumstances as different, and we've put police out by because they did have police out by the school, isn't it? That's what they
Yes.
said. But what
Yes.
but why are you putting police out by the school when it's been known that the school has had problems in the past?
Mm.
They've had problems out at the school in the past, but now it has happened. They've put police out at the school, but yet nothing is happening or has been said about the young girl who now is traumatized. I would say. I mean, yet
Yeah.
nothing is being said in, as you said, in the newspapers. I haven't seen anything.
Yes.
Nothing on the internet.
There's like
Nothing
yeah.
on the news.
Yes. Yes. It's gone dead. It's gone dead, Gary. Yeah. And that points to the fact that there's so many competing things which are trying to crave for the minds of people, competing things. The news arena around now is with so many different factors that what is it that you're going to look for? Because now they're talking about UFOs in the sky, you know, and people are now looking at the UFOs. And I think one of the biggest thing, Gary, but before I go on to the biggest thing, Nicola Sturgeon resigning. That's a shocker, isn't it? Nicola Sturgeon.
Well, I mean, nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
But nobody saw that coming. And I'm wondering,
Mm.
the question that I would like to have answered: what's caused her to jump?
Mm.
What
What caused
what
her to
has
jump?
caused her to jump? And you understand when I say jump, don't you?
Yeah, it mean
What
to say
caused
that
her to
to make
step
that
down?
move. I
Yeah.
think I think there's something, Gary. I think there's something. Nicola Sturgeon resonating, where does it leave the future of the UK? And what they're talking about is, and she said that what really pumped her and pushed her was when she went to a funeral of a friend, and she
Yes.
was saying it's a long time, and sometimes it burns you out. But Gary, the president or the prime minister of um, New Zealand recently resigned as well. She said she was burnt out. She said she was burnt out. The big question now would Andrew Holness resign? Because they're saying now that he's been implicated as well. People don't resign in the people resign. Well, people have to resign in the Western world and stuff like that. I mean, in the UK, everybody resign every minute. The Integrity Commission has referred a report implicating the Prime Minister of Jamaica, and the leader for the opposition is saying that he need to step aside while they undertake this investigation. Gary, you think he would step aside? You think there's guts in leaders to step aside, like how Nicola Sturgeon step aside, like how the leader of New Zealand step aside? Will they step aside? Will Andrew
Well,
Holness step aside?
well, put it this way. Put it this way.
Mm.
Um, if you ask a leader to step down, they don't, and they won't.
Mm.
So Andrew may not step down because he's been asked to, which in the eyes of men, if you step down, is a sign of weakness.
Mm.
So no man, no individual in those offices that holds high office, once you step down, shows you're weak and shows some culpability, or shows that you, if it's like in the sense of what Andrew Holness has been accused of, it will show as if yes, you are guilty as charged. And if Andrew is saying he's not guilty, he didn't do it with any intention of allowing his friend to receive the you know um
These deals.
yeah, the
Mm.
deals, then he must stand his ground and says I'm not, so he won't. But if a man now or an individual just gives up, nothing, there's nothing. Let's say there's not there's let's say there's nothing to be accused of, and you step down. Then
Mm.
yes, people always have the question. It says, why are you stepping down now? What's the problem? What are you running from? And you can always say, well, I'm not running from anything.
Mm.
I just feel burnt out, and I want to take time for myself and for my family. So when you step down from under those conditions, you're okay. You're all right. You've got nothing
Mm.
to hide.
Well,
Is what next happens, because
mm.
obviously when you do step down with no stench around you, but then 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, then what happens? All of a sudden you start hearing, oh, Silborn was involved in this, and he had a
Mm.
hand in that, and he gave his friend, the go ahead to receive this kind of plan and such. Then obviously you can deal with that at a later stage because you're out of the office now. You ain't got
Yeah.
no responsibility.
But I'll repeat what it says. The Integrity Commission has referred a report implicating the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, in a conflict of interest to the Director of Corruption Prosecution after it concluded that he may have influenced the awarding of millions of dollars in government contract to the company of a business associate. And if there's going to be some sort of investigation, isn't it fair to say, like in the Westminster system that we tend to follow, that they tend to step aside while that is happening? Remember, it was piling up on Boris. Remember, all these things
Yeah,
were piling up on Boris that he had to step down.
yes, yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes, yes.
but many say in Jamaica those things do not happen. We're going to see again if this is a 9 day wonder, because that Bolt was a 9 day wonder. Everything has been a 9 day wonder. We don't hear nothing more about Bolt and the 10 day ultimatum that he had given to the SSL. And even the lady that they investigated, with top level, I thought was the FBI, is also out and about. So the big question is again, will leaders step down? Nicola Sturgeon stepped down. The Prime Minister of New Zealand stepped down. Boris stepped down. Liz Truss stepped down. Liz never had to step down, as far as I'm concerned, but she stepped down. You know what I mean, Gary?
Who, Liz Truss?
Liz Truss. Yeah.
She didn't have to step down.
Yeah, she stepped down, didn't she?
Yes, she stepped down, but she stepped down because the economy was bottoming out, man. It was, well,
Yeah.
the bottom had disappeared,
Mm.
so she had to go. I mean, that wasn't anything to say that she could have stayed. I don't think she could have stayed, really.
Yeah. 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 Well, we'll see if with Andrew Holness, if that's going to be a 9 day wonder, because with Jamaica, as we know, Jamaica is politics, PNP will say step down, JLP will say sure, no sense. Go to the business and so like that. So it unfolds in that way regarding the politics in Jamaica. But there's clearly a need for integrity commission and integrity um, and transparency in all different respect when it comes to Jamaica. But what I really want to really zero in on today, Gary, is this bit about British gas. You know,
Yes.
British gas got how much? They had 949 million they made in 2021. They tripled it in 2022 to 3 billion profits. And at the same time, the reason why they had to increase it, ladies and gentlemen, if you recall, it was because of Putin, because of this unholy war, because of the background of COVID. So I'm trying to work out how come British gas and all the media houses are just talking about the fact that British gas has made so much money. Oh wow. Everybody's saying British gas has made so much money. They must be smiling. Nobody's asking this question. Hang on a second. How can they have made 3 billion during the course of the time when they said they were having difficulties? They got to increase it, where people were all having a hard time, going into their pocket, trying to find money. Um, Things got to get very hard for people. The bills got to go up. British gas breaking into people's home, and then Shell made either 39 billion or 28 billion, and BP made either 38 or 28 billion as well. So therefore, you look at it and say, this is a scam. Then you look at it again and say, the ULEZ. They plan to come with the ULEZ again with the mayor of London, taking it outside of London, squeezing the people left, right, and center. And it goes further again. They're planning on increasing council tax, hitting people hard again in many different facets. No wonder, and then you cannot blame the nurses, the teachers, the RMT guys them for striking because Zelensky came and said he wanted some money, and everybody said, "Yes, let's give him some money. Let's train up the people." And 20,000 pilots to have flight simulation programs. Where they're going to stay? Who's going to pay for them? And yet they can't pay the people in the country money. And yet British Gas, Shell, BP, and all those guys are making so much money. Isn't it a scam? I call it that. I call it choppings to the high level.
No, listen. Obviously, there is something definitely wrong, and I'm not.
Mm.
I'm not sure if the country has caught on. Now, I know that there are people. Yes, hundreds. There's thousands of people.
Yeah.
Let's say in the NHS, the RMTs. You name the various sections of the economy of this country that are crying out. But is the country really crying out?
Yes.
Because there are demonstrations. I mean sometimes, well, you know very well, Silborn, that there are
Mm.
demonstrations going on almost every day, but we are not told about them.
Yes.
We are
Especially in
not
France. Yeah.
right. I mean, never mind France.
This
In
country.
this country, there are demonstrations. There are people picketing. There are people. It may be two people. It may be five. It may be 10. It could even be 20. But they're
Mm.
demonstrating. But this country, the media is taking no notice. They don't think that is important. But you bring somebody from overseas to tell them that, okay, bring the 20,000 pilots that needs this, or the 20,000 people, or whatever. We'll train them up and we'll get them ready to fly some high tech
Yeah.
machine. But yeah, you got people here dying of hunger.
Mm.
We're not paying them properly at all. But yet we're just sitting down in sealed houses.
Mm.
Yet, well, some of us are sitting down in homes that can't even turn on the heating because it's so expensive.
Mm.
And we're allowing persons like the mayor of London to then extend boundaries so that he can again tax the people. I mean, that's not fair. I mean, the road tax goes up every year. It goes up.
Yeah.
The petrol goes up couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and then he wants again to extend boundaries so that when motorists who live in other places, that just to get onto the motorway from where they are, right? Some
They,
of them
they,
they have to go through their
they have
own.
they have to go through the thing. They have to go through the thing, Gary.
It's not fair. It's not right. It's not right.
Yes. They've got to go through the thing, and that's the thing which is which is creating such a massive problem, because they've got to go through the things. And even British Gas is talking about too early to discuss bonus, says British Gas boss. The boss of British Gas owner Centrica has refused to be drawn on whether he will take a bonus. Listen, he will
Worth
take
of
a bonus worth
point.
up to 1.6 million, 1.6 million after the company posted huge profits.
No, I mean it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Stillborn. I mean,
Yes.
he's saying it's not time now to be.
It's not it's not time now.
That should never be
Mm,
thought of. It should never even come into his mind that he's going to receive
yes.
not even £1,000, because look how many people can't even turn on their heat.
Yes. What he said, too early to have a conversation over any payout after profits hit 3.3 billion for 2022, ladies and gentlemen. 3.3 billion for 2022. Energy firms have seen record profits since oil and gas prices jumped following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Jumped. So therefore, Gary, if that's jumped for a period of time, if it jumped for that period of time, 9.949 million, and it jumped to 3 billion profit. They increased it, and everybody's feeling it. So how come they make profits? Why didn't it remain at 949 million? Why didn't it come to 1 billion?
You see,
Scammers, Gary. Scammers to the highest level. Choppers. Yeah.
listen, each household, we have been told, right?
Mm,
We can make rough estimates of where that money is coming from.
mm,
We were told that that each household is going to at least pay 3 grand for the year,
yes.
more, isn't it?
Yes.
For gas and for electricity, right?
Mm,
We've been told on these news media platforms, ITV, BBC, of individuals, they've gone out and
yeah.
they have found individuals who have said that either they've got to choose to put
Mm,
the heating on or choose to buy food, because when they buy the food, they can't pay for the gas to cook the food, right?
yeah.
There are
Yeah.
doctors and there are nurses, and I would even say there are lawyers, because the lawyers or barristers have even demonstrated themselves, haven't they? Yes, they have. And
With the Birkin bags though.
well,
Expensive
well,
bags.
they've
Yeah.
they've demonstrated, but these guys, some of these guys, are having to go to food banks,
Yes.
right? Yet, yet they have the audacity, knowing where the money is coming from, because it's not aliens coming from outer space that's paying that money.
Mm,
It's not aliens that the U.S. government is shooting down, mistakenly, that's coming
yeah.
to pay them. It's
Yeah.
individuals like you and I
Yes.
who who are paying them monies, some of them that they don't have. That's why they
Mm,
can estimate and say that they have made 3.3 billion
brilliant.
pounds. 3.3 billion, and they have the audacity to talk
Mm.
about 1.6 bonus.
The, the,
No, it's really not fair. It's
the
really
yeah. The soaring cost of energy, what I say, greater demands, as life gets back to normal after COVID. At the same time, this is the reason what they're giving for the increase. The war in Ukraine meant less was available from Russia. The war in Ukraine, everybody's talking about the war in Ukraine, putting further pressure on prices. The war has also reduced the amount of grain available, pushing up food price. My question again is this: even orange juice would jump up to 85p £1. There was a reason why they said this was so. The grains, there's a reason why they said that was so. But who is asking the question as to if things regularize over the period of time? You know, who's asking the question? Should Zelensky just cool it now and let things get back to normal? Because guess what? It is pushing the world into oblivion. It is pushing the world beyond war, but into high level of poverty at the same time. This was sentimental thing. They're still using the war in Ukraine. But how come these guys are making so many profits? That's the question that you got to ask. And I'll keep asking the question. I'll keep posting it. And we'll be tagging Shell and BP as well as to how comes you're making so many profit. And why do people allow these things to happen, Gary, and don't say anything? Why are people so why, it's like we are complicit. Why are we just allowing these things just like that? It's obvious.
Well, it's Silbon is obvious to you and me, but who are we? Really, who are we? We're making a lot of noise in this corner here, but
Yeah. Yeah.
others who are not making that noise. Okay, there are a few. If you um, percentage wise, it is small who have demonstrated and are demonstrating, but the people who should be talking about it, they're ignoring the fact that there's people out there. They call them troublemakers.
Troublemakers.
That's what they're calling you. That's what they're calling them, and they're calling you and I, those that
Yes.
we don't know. They're calling us troublemakers because we're
Yes.
talking about it, but yet still we're not making a dent. Because if we were making a dent, if those who are demonstrating, putting their, let us say, putting their jobs on the line, then the government would take note. But obviously,
Mm.
we're not doing anything
Yeah.
because on certain issues, the mayor of London, if they were troubling him, he wouldn't be doing or making a stupid decision that he's making there now to extend borders. He would have to rethink. But obviously,
Yeah.
we're, we're not shouting loud enough. People
Mm.
need to say something. Back in the day when Maggie Thatcher brought out the poll tax and there was massive upheaval
Yes.
that she had to climb down. I think we need to do that. I think we need to do something.
And brought in the council tax because if it comes to tax now, millions of households in England face a 5% council tax rising in April. 5%, Gary. And every time the interest rate goes up, and they keep saying that it is to curtail spending and stimulate growth. No, stimulate saving, encourage saving. But Gary, who is saving? Who is able to save?
But what can you save?
Yes,
What can you save
yes,
when
yes,
when people like me, I can't afford. Listen, I can't afford to go out there and buy an electric car.
yeah.
I can't afford that. I've got to drive what I drive. So
Mm,
when I come into London to see my aunt, or if I come into London to see my daughter,
yes.
right? If I spend 2 days in London, I'm not even going to the city. If I spend 2 days in London, I have to spend
Mm,
£12.50
yes.
per day. That's £25 for 2 days.
Mm.
I think that's wicked. And then he wants to. No, I mean it's just unbelievable how there is something else other than what they're talking about. Something else is going on, and the
Listen, listen,
public needs to be aware of that.
listen, Gary. Even Boris is looking out against it at the same time. Even Boris is looking out at the whole thing at the same time because it is just totally ridiculous. Because everything is just piling up on each other. The council tax, compulsory charge on properties in England, Scotland, and Wales, set by local authorities to raise money to spend on providing service in the area. Right? One of the services that they're providing also is to charge you more through the LTNs. Right? They're finding ways how to charge you more. So therefore, let's use an example. So you buy a car now. When you buy that car, you pay tax in buying that car. Then when you go to the petrol station, you pay tax, you know, upon the petrol. Then you have to pay tax, road tax. You got to pay insurance. And now to drive on the road, to go about your business, they're going to tax you again. And then council tax because of the area where you live in. Come on, Gary. This is totally ridiculous.
It is
This
ridiculous.
this doesn't make any sense. And I just kind of fathom. And I was speaking to my cousin today and said, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't totally add up. And I believe we've got to keep chumping it and saying out loud, because the media houses, and I keep saying to people all the while, stop begging BBC, stop begging ITV to do that, and go for smaller companies. Because even with the young black girl which was being beaten up, the only reason I believe that the BBC brought that online, the only reason I believe the BBC sort of put the program or wrote about it was because it was out there. But after they did their bit on it 2 days, 3 days, there's nothing more.
That's it. That's it. I mean, they don't care.
Nothing more.
People do not. Those in authority that needs to. I mean, some of these people will say that they're covering the entire section of the community. They
Yes.
will go so far as to say that they even choose the bits that are important. Well, that little girl that was beaten up by four people
Yes.
beat upon that one little black girl, and I
Mm.
guarantee you, right, when you find police, right, police cars and guns and everything come down on one individual, one little man. Now I'm not sticking up for that individual, but
Yes.
I'm just showing how uneven it is that you got four white against one black, and you don't hear nothing about the individual. But
Yes.
yet you hear about the whole police force coming down on one individual in a car that they never found anything that they said was in the car, yet the guy
Yes.
is dead.
Mm. Mm.
And that is on the news more times than the girl who was beaten up has ever been.
Yes.
That is what is unfair.
And
That's
it's
what's
so, yeah.
going.
And then it's obvious for persons to recognize when you talk about priorities, there you know their priorities. There you know their priorities. Mean to say that is not your priority. Your priority is not their priority. And I always say, just like when I hear people talk about Sam Smith, Beyonce, and all those guys and the devil worship, I always say you can spend time talking about that. But why don't you spend time talking about God? Me to say, why don't you spend time talking about the things that matters to you more than the things that matters to other people more? So some things matters to other people, but then we need to promote the things that matters to us more. I believe that this whole issue regarding the cost of living, I believe it's a scam. I believe we're not hearing it properly, and so many things. Even with the whole COVID thing and the whole vaccine and all those sort of things, a lot of queries need to start to talk about these things. They need to be scrutinized totally. Even America, when they talk about the UFOs and the lady who was the speaker of the spokesperson for Biden comes out and say, "Oh, let me tell you, there's nothing as UFOs or blah blah. Let me get real," you know. Oh, we didn't find out exactly what was the thing that was in the air that we burst out of the sky, or we blew up out of the sky. Come on, this is America, Gary. This is America that knows these things. So everybody's trying to pull a wool over people's eyes. And that is why you're going to find all these distractions coming like further. So that's why we might find ourselves in a minute position and very small, but we've got to keep speaking it and hearing it and letting people know that it is not, all is not dead just because we don't hear it from the so-called mainstream, you know, because they're not going to tell us anything because they're getting kickback, Gary. They're getting kicked. That's what people are talking about with Angel listener. That's what people are talking about because when a person get give contract over, I'm not saying this is what happened to Angel, but this is what they're actually saying. When you give contract over, somebody give you something. You get a deal. There's some favor in it. And that is why I still don't understand up to this day why Jamaican politicians are given this money to do lands and to do roads and all these sort of things. Shouldn't it be the parish council? In the UK, you don't have politicians given money to do certain things. That's a height and the level of corruption which is happening there. It 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 actually gives you the opportunity to be non-transparent,
Mm.
untransparent. So therefore, there need to be a review of all these things, and that is why Andrew Holness is being scrutinized, whether or not he's guilty or not, whether or not he did it or not. But you're to open, you're to expose. People are to expose.
Well, I mean, it's for the public, it's for your viewers really to talk up now because this thing, believe it or not, whatever is out there, it's going to affect every individual in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
We, you know, those who, as I've got a friend of mine who usually says, referring to those who don't interact with you on the platform, they're there. He calls them, they're those in the bushes
In the bushes.
because they're there, but you can't see them. You don't know that they're there. You don't know
Yes.
that they're listening to what you're saying. But what needs to be said to everyone, Silborn,
Mm, mm.
that every individual in this country, every citizen in this country is going to be affected by legislation or by what laws or rules that are being brought in. Every they're going to feel the full effect, and
Mm.
many people, many of them, will not be able to ride the storm. They're not
And
able to
yeah.
ride the storm.
And also I think I don't know, I think there's a bill which I need to review properly, is the one which is coming through whereby the you can I can leave here and go home, and for some reason I come back and they take away my passport or my citizenship. Even though that is something else we got to look at as well at another time. So there are many different things that I believe that persons are not aware, or even if they're aware, things come and distract them. And there's so many distractions which are around, distractions of the UFO, distractions of all different respect, and we're missing out on the key fundamental feature. Here we are seeing Sadiq Khan lashes out at Boris Johnson over ULEZ telling XPM he'll take no lectures on how to run London. Sadiq Khan lashes out at Boris Johnson because Boris, as I mentioned, Boris Johnson is talking about the whole aspect of this ULEZ that it doesn't make sense. But these guys are just becoming fat cats. I don't believe any of them actually feel the impact of the high cost of living. I don't believe the MPs feel it because they're all covered and cushioned with their expenses. I don't believe Rishi Sunak will ever feel it at all. He will never ever feel it, no matter how he says. You know. So therefore, it is incumbent then upon the people to take the matters in their own hand in some respect. Yeah. So yeah. So there it is. I mean, I'm looking at Prime Minister Andrew Holness, political commentator Kevin Chang says referral of the Prime Minister for possible conflict of interest breach does not rise to the level of being a source of international embarrassment. Everybody's playing it down. Some say it's international embarrassment, some say not. It all depends on which side you spin and who do you support. You know. And I don't know if you heard about this guy named Matthew Hyde was remanded in. in Kingston because he burnt up this girl as well. Crazy.
I mean, you mentioned something there, Silborn, that I think
Yeah.
that our countrymen and those who, well, let's say our countrymen,
Yeah.
and even those who are not natives of these here United Kingdom, but what is very evident, and it's been evident to me for a very long time, is that whether, even if we were born here,
Yes.
we are naturalized and we have a British passport, even if we've got a birth certificate with Britain on the top to show that we are born, we're not naturalized, we're born
Mm.
here. You were born here. To those in power, that means nothing, little to
Mm.
nothing.
Mm.
Because look how many times people have been deported. They don't know anybody in Jamaica. Let's say, for example, they
Yes.
don't have no family there. Many, yes, there have been many who come here as babies,
Yes.
and they didn't travel that much to say that they needed a passport, or they came on their on at the time in the 50s, 60s, they came on their mother's or on their father's passport. But yet, any little thing goes wrong, they're deported.
Yeah.
And
The
I think
same.
that what you have mentioned there
Mm.
is unique, but it is not shocking. It should not shock us if they put that, if they legislate it into law,
Yes.
because it's always been there. The error has always been there. It's an unwritten law. You do something wrong, we ship you out. Don't care where you're from, or don't care or who you are. We'll ship you back to where your forefathers have always been. And it's strange also that 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 the territories that this country has taken over and raped and ravished,
Mm.
and then allowed them to say that they can then now be independent and rule themselves. It's because there's nothing there for them to have.
Yes.
But you see, our people have looked here as the motherland. They've come
Mm.
because mommy called them, mommy need help.
Mommy call him, say mommy. So everybody run and say the Queen call her.
So I don't know. It's just a sad situation, and we're not
Yes.
learning. I don't think a lot of our people, whether if they're from the West Indies or not, whether then they're from Asia, like those in
Mm.
Hong Kong, or not, from Australia or not, or from Europe, or wherever they may have been, wherever the
Yes.
British Empire was. We haven't learned. We have not learned. We haven't learned
Yes.
that their attitudes, is ingrained in such a way that they
Yes.
will never accept us. They will never accept you
Yes. But
as
what if?
British.
Yeah. Now I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you
No,
because
done. We're done.
clause 19, which is said why all migrant British citizens and those with dual nationality should be concerned.
Can you imagine traveling out of the country, arriving at Heathrow Airport, and being informed that although you left as a British citizen, you are no longer a British citizen and you will not be allowed to enter the UK? Can you imagine that being a British citizen, suddenly you receive a letter from the driver's license DVLA to inform you your driver's license has been revoked, or that your employment has ceased because your British citizenship has been revoked? It may be that is the first time that you've been informed that your British citizenship has been revoked. This is why members of parliament on both sides have raised particular issues with this aspect of the law. How can they deprive you of your citizenship without notification? Your citizenship can be revoked without notification. One, if it is impractical to inform you. Impracticability has not been defined. Two, why did you not know your whereabouts? Three, if there are national security concerns. Four, for diplomatic reasons. And five, for any other reason which is in the interest of the state. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we have problems with this particular bill. Who defines what impracticability is? Who defines what diplomatic relationship is? Who defines what for matters of state security? We are all aware that decisions made by the Secretary of State for the Home Department, if it goes to court, at least over 40% of those decisions are either declared unlawful, illegal, or not in accordance with the law. Does it mean that revocation decisions will also give rise to illegality, unlawfulness? My advice to all of you is that speak to your MP even at this late stage, because
Put it at the mic.
or amended. My advice to you is that this also affects our children who've been born in the UK. Because as a Ghanaian, if your child was born in the UK and he holds a British citizen, although he has not actively exercised his citizenship as Ghanaian, this law affects him because he could be deprived of his British citizenship by the mere fact that the Ghanaian constitution allows dual nationality. They could define him to be a Ghanaian. Therefore, we must be very careful because the circumstances under which this law can be applicable to you is very profound in situations where there are issues of national security, in situations where the Secretary of State believes that your presence here is dangerous to national interest or the public interest or the national security. We must therefore speak up. We must therefore speak to our MPs. We must therefore ask our Prime Minister to have a second look at this law and possibly to have it amended. If it's not amended whilst it's in play, can I ask all of you to speak to your children that although they hold British citizenship, that citizenship can be taken away because they also hold dual Ghanaian citizenship. It doesn't matter if they've never held a Ghanaian passport before, because a Ghanaian citizenship says your child, you as Ghanaian, your child is also a Ghanaian, although they also hold British citizenship. I hope this is helpful to all of you, and this is the task that we have. We must all speak up and ensure that this draconian law is taken out of our statute books. Thank you very much.
And that is I tell you who the person is I'm telling you who the person is. His name is Mr. Come back again. Bernard. He's a lawyer. Can't seem to find where it is. But that's what we were talking about a while ago, Gary. It's you know, while we become complacent and just happy, go lucky, things are just happening right behind our back, just like that.
And the funny thing
Yeah.
about it, Sil, the funny thing about it,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
What nationality? What nationality is our prime minister? He's called. What's his called? Who is he?
Indian, isn't it?
Okay, and even the Home Secretary.
Yes, and also I think he has a US citizenship as well.
Now, the point I'm trying to bring here is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's under their watch that this thing is going to come through, right?
yes,
And who is it targeted against? It's the
yes,
blacks. It's the blacks.
yes.
Now,
Is there any- yeah.
I don't want to make it a race issue. It's not
Mm.
that.
No, you're
But
dealing with reality. You're dealing with reality, Gary. It's
it's,
not
it's,
race. Yeah.
it's strange how this is coming about now.
Yes.
We don't have a white prime minister. We don't have a white home secretary. We don't have we don't have a white
Foreign
foreign
secretary.
secretary.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Interesting, isn't it?
it is. Because
Interesting.
if you had a white prime minister, a white home secretary, and a white foreign secretary, all of that will come about to say that they're
Racist. Ah, ah. You're right about that. All of that will come across to say they are being racist, and they will not dare do that. The guy who spoke it was Bernard also. He's a senior partner at BWF Solicitors, and it is clause 19. Why all migrant British citizenship citizens and those with dual nationality should be concerned. It is very interesting. The Home Secretary is Indian. The Foreign Secretary is black. The Business Secretary is black. The Prime Minister is Asian. But yet, a policy which is coming through is going to be detrimental to the black man.
I mean,
I have to do it pretty much Perkins will go, oh.
and
You might die in trial. Wonders never cease to amaze me.
and the
Just
thing
breaking it
about
down like that.
and the thing about it, still, the thing about
Yeah.
that, the sad thing, the very sad thing about it, right, is that we collectively, what do? We just sit down here and just we're at home. We- we're at home. We can go to Jamaica and come back, or we can go
Yes.
to France or to Spain and come back, and it doesn't bother us. But it's going to hit us, and we retaliate always too late. We
Gary?
respond
Yeah.
too late all the time.
Yeah.
We don't make any noise. We don't hit the streets, and when
We're,
we
we're,
do hit the streets,
yeah.
we're mashing up businesses, we're burning
Yeah.
down stores, we're doing everything that they expect us to do, but we
Yeah.
need to hit them in their pockets.
When we're late off the mark, because my son won, he's a runner, and he won one of his 60 meters run the other day. He started off well off the block, and the second one he didn't. The second one he didn't win, and he said to me that he was slow off the block, and he said, off the block determines whether you win or lose. Off the block, how you start. And I think, as you rightly say, we are very um, reactive, not proactive.
Not proactive.
And I was speaking to somebody the other day as I say, why is it that we don't even have the staying power and the stamina to follow through to the end? So we'll make a lot of noise, and the powers that be say, don't worry, give them 9 days, give them a few days. Just like with the black girl there being beaten up by the 4 white girls and blah, blah, blah. Nothing came out of it. Even that guy that was killed in Peckham, and the demonstration was for him because I forget what his name is, Freddie Kofi or something like that. Gary, nothing come out of that. Nothing came out of that. Massive demonstration at the same time when Queen Elizabeth was being buried and having the thing, and a lot of people were saying they were coming to celebrate Queen Elizabeth when actually they were demonstrating. Nothing came out of that. So we've got the long noise, but not the staying power. And I do watch through the whole thing and watch what's happening in Jamaica at the same time with the Prime Minister. Watch what's happening with Usain Bolt. What's happening with the scamming all over. No wonder the show is called, ladies and gentlemen, Who Are the Real Scammers? You come right back to it. Who are the real scammers? The energy company and others. Everybody's trying to scam people in some respect. And they're going to try to scam people out of their citizenship. The topic which I have, and I'm going to finish now. The topic which I have on Saturday night is who speak up for Jamaicans in the diaspora. And the reason why I brought up that topic there is because I've got people asking me, listen, I got my visa, I'm working, I'm paying my tax, and yet at the same time I got to pay surcharge to go to NHS. One lady got over 20 years she's been in the country. Finally, after the Home Office gave her a hard time, the judge ruled in her favor. She passed, she won. But she still have to pay these massive surcharge tax. And then she got to go for 2 years to get her indefinite, not limited leave to remain now after being here in the country over 21 years. And they're saying to me, who speak up for it? Now, even the issue with the young man, the man talking about Ghana a while ago, he was referring to Ghana, even though he was referring to British people, black British people. But who's speaking up? Who are the Jamaicans? Who's speaking up? I know, and I sent the invitation out to Kevin Brown and to Nathaniel Pete, and I'm going to send it to the High Commission to say here's a program because people are asking Who speak up for them? Even when Picker, the passport people, them came here recently, and they give the people them a warm time. They did what they did, but lots of people are still waiting for their passport from October.
Even now,
Even now, listen. I just listen, man. I got people writing me sometime thinking that I'm a part of them. That's why I keep saying to them, "You guys need to sort it out." People write. Listen, man. Let me just read. Let me just read something to you a bit, which which you'll understand. I had to call somebody and say, "Who is this person here?" They said they gave them my number. I, if I can find it, I don't know where it is. But the person writes and cussing me off. You know, the person write and cussing me off, Gary. You know, saying that because I was promoting the people them and stuff like that. Right? Who can they go to? They feel disenchanted that they can't go to anybody, Gary. You know? Yeah. This is it. You know?
you
Anyway.
see, you see, we're not helping. We see these things happening.
Yes.
I mean, we shouldn't be shocked. You gave a
Yeah.
good example about a woman there who's been in the country for over 20 plus years.
Yes.
She still has to pay the surcharge, and yet she still has to stay 2 more years to get what? Indefinite?
Indefinite because she got limited leave, even though she's been here for 21 years. And she got 2 years limited leave now. This is what the person said. Jamaica citizenship and passport application. I'm writing to you with much disgust regarding my application, which was submitted last year for my citizenship and Jamaican passport when your representatives came over to the UK from Jamaica. It was all well good for them to take my cash money, although I know understand why it feel as though I've been robbed by a bunch of criminals and I hadn't my money to them after queuing up so long. You know, this is what I'm trying to say. So the person's writing to me now for me to send that over to Jamaica now to the guys them because people are feeling totally disenchanted. Who do they speak up to? Some are saying they can't get hold of the Jamaica High Commission. The persons who are supposed to be representative of the diaspora. Well, I'm gonna get Kevin Brown and things like that. And even the whole issue with what the immigration lawyer just saying now. A lot of people are saying when they go to immigration lawyers, they don't want to go to them because they're gonna get ripped off. One girl one time said to me that the immigration lawyer wrote in her defense she wanted to explore the British Isle and charge her thousands of money for that. Who speak of? Listen, another thing also. A friend of mine, her brother passed away. She's trying to get she's trying to get a trip to Jamaica. Over £1,000. British
Well,
Airways, British Airways, and Virgin. So she have to go to some other
two
T.
weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks for TUI to try to get some deal whereby you can bill up your local flight and get um luggage. And she said to me, Silburn, what's going on? You know, so I'm reaching out to Ed Bartley, reaching out to those guys in Jamaica to say, listen, man, and Delano Steve Wright to say, listen, guys, what can happen here? Just like how the tourists come and the tourists will get some special deals with the hotels, them. Can there be some deals made out for Jamaicans in the diaspora? Who is speaking up for them?
No,
Young our Delano Franklin just passed away recently. We're talking about voting for overseas citizens for a while, whether it happens or not. But nobody's talking about it. From 2004, when Delano and I was talking about this, successive governments of Jamaica don't want to address it. Who is speaking up for Jamaicans?
but
So that,
but
yeah,
but Silbon, I mean, you've got to look.
yeah,
I think you've got to look at the same kind of attitude
mm,
that is happening in Jamaica as well as what is happening amongst the black politicians here in the
uh,
UK. Because it's the same kind of thing. It's the same thing that's going on. They
mm,
don't care. They like the notion that they are MP. They like the notion that they have reached where they have reached.
yeah,
But in as much as helping you, the individual, that is on. They'll talk. They'll have a good talk to say, "Oh,
yes,
Mr. Sydial, don't say that, Mr. Sydial. We're there for the community, or we're there to help the community." But in actual fact, they're not. They're only there for themselves. And it's this, and that is why we get situations like what has happened to Andrew Holness, and he's not only amongst the blacks, he's amongst the whites, because when they allow, for instance, like what's his name, Boris Johnson, to be in the to be in government, to be the prime minister, and then he has his cronies getting um, the arrangement for the PPEs or whatever it is.
Mm.
So people are just there for themselves. Sad to say, and it has to be said. It really doesn't matter what some of these politicians are saying. Obviously, there are a few that are there to help and will help. But when you're up against the majority that really does not care what you do or how you get to where you're getting, then it's an uphill struggle. And for the Jamaicans here struggling and having to find the £1,000 to go to Jamaica just for 2 weeks, when you can go to Barbados for half the cost, or go
Of
to
course,
Trinidad
yes,
for half
yes,
the cost, or go to
yes,
Bahamas for half the cost. But as
yeah.
soon as you say Jamaica is £1,000 straight away.
$1,000, and
It's
£1,000, not dollars, £1,000, and then
£1,000.
Kingston is even more expensive than the Montego Bay as well, and it's a total rip-off. That's
It
another
is.
scamming again.
It is.
Okay. No wonder I title the things. That is scamming at a high level, because I do recall when I was doing the petition. That's why I don't do these petitions anymore. No petitions I sign anymore. I stopped doing petitions. I went around the country getting petitions for better deals for Jamaicans to travel via Virgin and British Airways, and we met with the directors of Virgin or British Airways. I don't remember who it was, with the late Paul Lawrence and a couple others, and they didn't budge. But the community didn't stand the ground with us. The community made lots of noise, started with, and Gary, after that, they died. It was done. There's no consistency. There's no persistence. There's no longevity, because people can't bother. People can't bother. You know what I'm trying to say? And these guys will take
They
this,
know.
and these guys will take the mic. British Airways will take the mic. Virgin Island will take the lick. And nobody's speaking up for the Jamaicans in the diaspora when they come on to traveling back home and getting better deals. Everybody want a tourist dollar and everything like that. But anyway, Gary, we've gone over time. 20 minutes over time.
No, but you see, the public needs to know. Our people needs to know
Yeah.
that these things have been noticed.
Yes.
Now, it's probably, listen, it could only be me and you talking about it, really,
Yeah.
It could only be me and you talking about it. So, who are we amongst 56 million?
Yes.
Huh? Who are we amongst the population of the United Kingdom, probably, or of England, of 56 million people? We're nobodies.
Well, let's wake up people as much as we can. Remember when Elisha or Elijah, and they said, I don't remember which one. You can correct me. There's nobody with me. I'm alone. I'm alone.
Elijah. I think it was Elijah.
Elijah, and then God revealed to him and said, there are thousands there for you. So therefore,
7,000 prophets. There's 7,000.
Yes. So therefore, if it's just one, and me and you, and when we lift up our eyes and we look around, there'll be many more. We got to fight the good fight of faith, Gary. All right. Anyway, but Sunday night, let's talk about who speak up for Jamaicans in the diaspora. You know.
I'll try and be around. I won't promise you, but I'll try.
Yeah. All right, Gary. Well, listen, have a good one. Yeah. We'll say bye to people. Yeah. All right. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Cheers. Bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining tonight, and thank you for those on Instagram, those on Facebook, those on YouTube. Remember to like and subscribe to the SYLBOURNE Show, and we discuss a lot of things tonight, and it's really about awakening. Wake up ourselves. Let's not get too caught up in the fanfare and the figures and the virality of things. And let's deal with some deep, serious issues. The scammers all around us. Scammers from the British Gas, Shell, and BP, Everybody's blaming Putin, but at the same time, while they're blaming Putin, you're making these serious profits. Yes, council tax, ULEZ by the mayor of London. Come on, man. Boris is at you saying, "Don't do this. Don't do this." A lot of people are going to feel it, you know, in every different respect. Zelensky came over here from Ukraine, begging money, and everybody say we're going to give you 20,000 of your guys going to get trained up with your flight simulation plans or whatever like that. And what is going to happen? People will have to pay for it. So how can you blame the nurses? How can you blame the teachers? How can you blame the RMT for wanting to strike? Because they say there's no money. How can you say there's no money? How can we say there's no money for the people? How can we? Listen, I say it is scamming to the highest level or chopping to the highest level. Well, thank you very much. And remember, Saturday night, let's talk. Who speak up for Jamaicans in the diaspora? There are many different issues, and people have been saying to me to do something on this. So I'll talk about this Sunday night. It's Saturday night. Let's see who's gonna come. Let's talk about the fact that Jamaicans are having it hard to get flights to go to Jamaica. Expensive. Jamaicans are finding it hard with the surcharge for NHS, yet at the same time they're paying their taxes in the UK. People are having it difficult with the immigration bit, getting ripped off left, right, and center. Who can we talk to? Where can we go? Those are some of the questions come to me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a good night. Saturday night. See you around. God bless you. Boom.
Let's go.